Alright, bro, let me talk to y'all real quick. I'm finna go ahead and get into another video of this series I'm about to start up, and it's called The Butterfly Effect. This will be the second video of this playlist. Hopefully, you guys tune in whenever y'all get the chance. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So, I'll be talking about the 2013 Spurs and what would happen and the implications behind it if they would have won the championship that year. So, let's go ahead and set the scene. So, the Spurs was like a dynasty. It won 1999. It won 2003, 2005, 2007. Like every other year, they was in the finals or getting close to the finals. Like each and every year, like I said, and they had the rosters to be more sustainable for the long run. So yeah, and then it was a point in this dynasty though that it just plateaued. And like with everything, it's going to plateau for a little bit because first off, teams are going to get better, they're going to get younger, they're going to figure you out, and you have to adjust somehow. So yeah, this would, led to the adjustment of getting to the finals in 2013, 2014. Before we get to that point, let's talk about the area they plateaued in. So let's talk about after they made the Western Conference Finals in '08, which they lost to 6 games to the Los Angeles Lakers, who went to 3 straight finals. Okay, nothing to be worried about. But the next year, they freaking lose in 5 games to the Dallas Mavericks. And folks are like, something's like not right. The San Antonio Spurs got to do something about this. Okay, so the next year, okay, they get past. I believe they get past the Mavericks this time, if I'm correct. Then the second round, they lose to the man they was like dominating throughout this whole dynasty run, and that was Steve Nash. And Steve Nash ended up going to the conference finals, and they ended up losing to the Los Angeles Lakers. Then 2010, 2011 was one of the most disappointing seasons, like maybe in NBA history, because this San Antonio Spurs team was a 60-win team. And I'm talking about 2010, 2011. This was a 60-win team, number one seed, no question about it. How do you go in and lose to the AC Grizzlies in 6? How does that happen? Like I believe the Super Sons is probably the only other team that was number one seed. I believe they had 60 wins too, and lost to AC and Nuggets, if I'm correct. But no, this cannot happen. This cannot happen. And folks was like definitely raising an eyebrow after this series. So in the 2011 draft, this was one of their biggest moves yet. They traded Grant Hill. I said Grant Hill. I mean George Hill. I don't know why I said Grant Hill. George Hill and for Kawhi Leonard. And now this was the move that was going to definitely turn the tables and maybe have an effect in the long run. So we go into the 2011-2012 season, and they back to where it was at. They was dominating the Western Conference. They even made the Western Conference Finals, but this time they ran to the Young Gun Thunder. Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Kevin Durant. Just too much for the Spurs, and they ended up losing to them. But it was a close fought series, and yeah, and the Thunder they ended up playing the Heat, and they lost the Heat in 5 because it just wasn't ready for that type of moment. James Harden underperformed, Russell Westbrook underperformed, KD he was doing his part even with that big fat brace he had on his knee. It was very impressive. So the Spurs, we go into the next year. Now this is the year I'm going to be highlighting because this was the year that this was the turning point. So Gary Popovich, he saw that his scheme of just running and just like making a few like passes and try to dump it down low. So this was the year they implemented more ball movement. I forgot the coach name they got from overseas, but he like drove into like he wanted this implement so bad to Paul that Paul recognized. He said, okay, he had to accept it. He accepted it, and guess what? They started dominating again. They added guys like Boris Diaw. They had Patty Mills. They had Dan Green. Kawhi Leonard even broke out into the starting lineup. He came into his own, and then they took off from there. They led the league in what passes made, I believe, assists, all of the playmaking metrics you can think of, they was like at the top of the league in that category. And, Boris DL was like having a resurgence because this guy right here, like I believe he probably had like 1 or 2 resurgences. I don't know if that's a word. He had multiple bounce back seasons in his career. Like it was a moment where he was with the Bobcats and he got in shape and stuff. So I believe, oh, was it? Yeah, was it the Bobcats went to some? Whatever team he was, I believe it was the Hawks. He was with the Hawks. He wasn't really interested in the Hawks. Then he went to the Suns, had a bounce back career. Then he went through like a little spell where he went to the Bobcats, really wasn't trying, definitely fell out of shape. And guess what? He got into shape, went to the Spurs. Then he had a resurgence, and then they went to the finals. And this is where our story begins. So the Spurs, like, um, this team was making the Heat defense move. Like the Heat defense around this time during the LeBron era, it was like very aggressive. They tried to trap the pick and roll with Chris Bosh so he does has one. They tried like speed you up because the reason why they try to speed you up because the Heat was so good in transition. Like it was like nobody stopping them. So to get out of transition, guess what? You're gonna need to create turnovers, and that's what the Heat was doing. But with the Spurs, with them being so well coached, they was not turning the ball over easily. And this Spurs team was literally like a rebound away from winning the championship. Only thing Pop had to do was put in Tim Duncan. That's all he had to do, but he took him out to be Big Brain. But yeah, let's say Coach Pop actually did put in Tim Duncan, and Tim Duncan actually created a rebound. And Kawhi Leonard makes 2 free throws because it was a stretch that Kawhi Leonard missed the 2 free. I believe Manu Ginobili missed free throws down the stretch of this game, but that's brought the Heat back in too. But everything fell into place and they win this championship. So one, this Heat dynasty or this potential dynasty would be over, and folks would probably like be out the door. Like for example, either Chris Bosh or Dwayne Wade was gonna have to go because both of them, like they was like not like showing up after like what 2011. I believe Chris Bosh was dealing with injuries around this time. Dwayne Wade was like cooked; his knees couldn't like hold up in long playoff series no more. So either one of them would have to have go, went out the door. And the perfect person that could like been traded for, like Amari Stoudemire, for example, or Carmelo Anthony, somebody like that, because Carmelo Anthony was supposed to be originally in this trio, but Chris Bosh actually, I wouldn't say did what he was told because that would be wild to say, but they had an agreement. Let's put it like that. They had an agreement to sign like short-term deals with their teams and then go into the 2010 free agency. Melo, he wanted a longer-term deal. He wanted more security on his deal. Got bigger money because of it, and he wasn't like he didn't ultimately make the cut to go to the Heat. So yeah, it was Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, LeBron, and I just don't see a world of this Heat roster is not blown up because LeBron, he was getting closer to his free agency the next year, and they wanted to do anything to make him happy. And if this team did not make any adjustments after losing the finals to the Spurs, and that was the second time LeBron lost to the Spurs in his career, something would happen earlier than it actually did. The Spurs, they would be a 5-time champion, and they had a chance to repeat. Now in 2014, they actually did win the championship, right? So what if they would won in 2013 and 2014? Well, Tim Duncan, he would be a 6-time champion, and he would probably be rated higher on people's list, like as of today, because right now I believe the consensus of Tim Duncan, he's around like the 5 to like 8 area on people's list. If you would win a championship, that 5 would probably be like at the 4 or 3 level because at that point he got more rings than Kobe Bryant. He's tied with Michael Jordan rings. Then he's one well-rounded players in the league because he was one of the greatest defenders of all time that did not win a DPOY. So he has multiple things going for him in his legacy debate. Only thing you can probably say is him like not repeating the finals. But in this case, they would have repeated. They would have been to two finals, potentially three if 2014, 2015 with the injuries and stuff. If that didn't happen, we would have been living in a world where Tim Duncan was a well renowned as a, definitely a top five player of all time. That would have been the reality of the situation if the Spurs would end up winning back to back championships. Because that team was like that's the ultimate definition of ball movement. That's what led the Warriors to implement their ball movement system, implement the split cuts and stuff. And guess what? Steve Kerr, he took some of the elements of both Greg Popovich and Phil Jackson offense, made it to his own, and he made his own dynasty. It's a reason why the Warriors are still like relevant and trying to win championships to this day because they kept the same core. They implemented the ball movement what the Spurs were doing, and then yeah, he just took off. So yeah, I'm rambling a little bit now, and I just want to go ahead and end this video because that would have been the actual reality of the situation if the Spurs would won a championship. Tim Duncan would have been a six-time champion. The Heat would roster would have to get blown up because drastic like you cannot lose like 2011 and the 2013 finals. That cannot happen because Chris Bosh got dominated on the boards by Tyson Chandler. Dwayne Wade was the best player in the series, but we go into 2013. LeBron was the best player in the series. D Wade knees couldn't hold up no more. Chris Bosh, like he was just going through the motion. I believe he went through injuries himself. That would have to get blown up. The Spurs, Greg Popovich, his legacy as a coach would have been like different today. He would definitely been known as a top two head coach then because now folks got him around like 3-4 range. But now he will be solidified. It's probably even better than Phil Jackson. But he would definitely be solidified as a top two head coach of all time. So yeah, those are things that would have happened if the Spurs would have won the 2013 championship. And that's all I gotta say. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what teams I should do next.